The Kouga Municipality says the purpose of the one-day safety summit is to ensure the safety of all communities in the Kouga area, as well as the increasing number of tourists, students and daily commuters who travel within and around Kouga. The municipality says it's imperative that the municipality remains secure and crime levels are minimized. Another purpose of the safety and security strategy is to effectively reduce crime and enhance safety through a comprehensive, multifaceted approach. SABC News reporter Lerato Fekisi has this report.
The Kouga Municipality is ensuring that it puts all hands on deck to ensure that the residents that come here for holidays or for any other work are safeguarded against gangsterism, criminal activity, especially as we have seen mass murders in Fekisi become a thing of the norm. And in doing that, they are ensuring that they learn from practices from the city of Cape Town. Other municipalities have got it right in keeping their city safe. I'm joined this afternoon by JP Smith, who's MMC for Safety and Security in the city of Cape Town. JP, the city of Cape Town has, without a doubt, done very well in what is a huge scourge of gangsterism in Cape Town for a long time. Can you speak briefly into us what actions have you put in place that have worked to safeguard Cape Town from the increased gangsterism that continues to mar that municipality?
So it's a complex problem because at the heart of it you need effective convictions to take place, Lerato, and if those convictions are not taking place, many of your other efforts are in vain. And at the moment the conviction rate sits around 2%, and that's not something that the city or the provincial government can control. That's within the hands of national government in terms of the investigative power of SABC, the National Prosecuting Authority, the DOJ, and the Department of Correctional Services. So, but within the scope of what we can do, we have not stood by and said we're waiting for other people to deliver. The cavalry is not coming, and like many local authorities also here in Kouga, we have learned that we must do it ourselves, and as a consequence we've created specialized units like our gang and drug task team. We manage informants and pay rewards for information about firearms and drugs and outstanding warrants. We have employed technologies like gunfire detection, our eye in the sky drones and CCTV cameras to give us an operational edge and make our staff on the ground more effective. Jointly with the provincial government, we deployed 1,300 officers in our 13 worst crime precincts like Guguletu, Mitchells Plain, Khayelitsha, Mfuleni, Samora Michelle, Bishop Lavis, and so forth, which are the worst affected in terms of gang violence. And we do watching briefs over our cases so we can see where the criminal justice system is failing these victims of crime, so that we can shine a spotlight on the situation. And the provincial government does the same. Most recently we signed an agreement with SABC, which was attended by the state president, and that lays the foundation for us to have more effective cooperation and share our technologies with SABC. SABC has failed to modernize their services over the last decades. We believe we can help them in fast-tracking that, and reciprocally they can help with the crime data which they have historically declined to share with us. If we cooperate more effectively, we can do more to curb the impact of gangsterism and foil the efforts of these gang bosses in growing their empires. In Cape Town, you'll see all of our major gang bosses are now being prosecuted. They're all in some advanced stage of prosecution or incarcerated, and we're delighted about that. The city has played its part by snipping their access to any kind of government tenders where they have their tendrils in, whether we have to fire politicians or officials, as we did 2 years ago. And we're very happy that now the criminal justice system is catching up and finally starting to prosecute those officials we fired some time ago. So much we can do.
Sorry, JP, not to interdict you, but just to look at, just to zoom into the Eastern Cape, a huge issue now in the Eastern Cape is the issue of mass killings. And I know that you are aware of the one in Lusikisiki. Yeah, in Lusikisiki, the one in Gqeberha.
That 28 members?
18 members of a family.
18.
Same at Gqeberha, we've had numerous. What becomes the most important thing now that both SAPS, MMCs, local government must do? Because we're seeing these mass murders happen so closely to each other. And what then becomes advice from people like you who have seen such happening in the municipalities and perhaps done well to curb mass killings within the municipality?
These mass killings are a horror. I cannot imagine what impact it must have in a community when 18 people get murdered at the same time. And my sympathies to the residents of Lusikisiki and the families involved there. There is no rationalization, there's no way to grapple with this sanely and national government is going to have to do a lot more to step up resources around the syndicates and the extortion syndicates that run this. Most of these seem to be linked to the activities of extortion activities, where people are asked to pay protection monies or share some kind of revenue with some syndicate or gangster, and when that doesn't happen, there are these retributions or reprisals, and what is needed here is effective investigation. So the city has rolled out the Safety and Security Investigations Unit and an Information Management Service, what the previous minister used to call the Rogue Unit, so that we can effectively contribute to SABC to fighting these. We made huge headway jointly with SABC on the kidnapping situation, the kidnapping for ransom. You're not hearing about kidnappings in the Western Cape anymore at the moment. And we are now working very closely with SABC on the extortion syndicates, which are widespread. They have flourished. They have for too long not gotten the attention of the criminal justice system that they need in order to nip them in the bud. We are working much more closely with SABC on this. And what we can do is add investigators, add engagements with communities, add Office of Rewards to get people talking. That's imperative. So the city also has an extortion hotline where people can report this, where they know that their identity will not be exposed.
And lastly, JP, and in specifically Kouga Municipality, Jeffrey's Bench, you must be precise. There are now signs of gangsterism coming into the schools, where older kids are luring younger kids into gangsterism. When it gets to the schools now, what responsibility does MMCs like yourself within the Kouga municipalities and the locals, obviously the community, to play a part as well in safeguarding children who are now feeling unsafe within the school system?
So you have to differentiate between what the resources that sit in a metro like Cape Town or Joburg, or your other big metros like Kouga. It is a different situation when you have a smaller municipality like Kouga that has very limited resources. Rural municipalities are very poorly funded. The whole funding model for local government is dysfunctional, but particularly so in rural municipalities. And so I have great sympathy with them. There are Cape Town, for instance, has deployed school resource officers, dedicated law enforcement officers in schools. But that's an expensive intervention. Our provincial government is helping us with that. They are paying for those law enforcement officers in many cases. That may not be able to may not happen here. Provincial government here may not be willing to take that step. And the local municipality can almost certainly not afford to pay for it. So there are other measures that they can deploy, which we are talking about inside here, which is why they invited us, where the municipalities can do stuff that do not break the bank. Reservists. SABC have for long not been training reservists. They're a critical part of fighting back against crime, especially when resources are scarce. And so we're talking about how municipalities can create police reserve services. The city in Cape Town has 240 reservists. We're busy training another 200 at the moment. So this is something that they can do. We're talking about city improvement districts to bring additional resources in, and we're talking about other interventions like supporting your neighborhood watches that have allowed a very robust neighborhood watch fraternity in Cape Town. They already have very good neighborhood watch structures here, but there's things they can do to supersize and evolve that further. This is exactly the conversation we're having inside.
Thank you so much, JP. Well, that was JP Smith, the MMC for Safety and Security in the city of Cape Town, speaking about some of the success they've had in that municipality in terms of curbing extortion, curbing gangsterism, and also curbing a huge syndicate in that area of kidnapping, saying that the talks now between Kouga Municipality and city of Cape Town is to how to make sure that Kouga Municipality has enough resources to fight gangsterism in the schools, and then also how to make sure that Kouga Municipality safeguards itself against the mass murders we see happening throughout the Eastern Cape.